3ds Max is actually the main software I used for a long period of time, and I still use it till this date because it is so good and it is, of course, something I enjoy working with. So I wondered to myself, why don't I dig to the history of it and create a video about it? So here we are. Actually, the original studio product was created for the DOS platform by Gary Yost and the Yost Group, and published by Autodesk back then. That was a long time ago. It's like ancient history now, because when I tried to actually collect some data about the subject to create a video about it, it was so difficult. So in the beginning it was expensive, and it was running only on expensive machines that companies could afford. So back then actually companies only could afford working with 3ds Max because it was expensive, and the machines that operated it were expensive as well. So 3D Studio came to life in 1990, and its operating system was MS-DOS after a period of being just a prototype since 1988. So they actually started developing it in the beginning of 1988. So after the first version, 3 other versions of 3D Studio came along. So if you notice, I'm not calling it 3ds Max because the original version was called 3D Studio. And the 3D Studio 2 actually came in 1992. 3D Studio 3 was created in 1993, and the 3D Studio 4 was developed in 1994. So Autodesk 3D Studio had already more users than all other 3D packages combined, not counting the illegal followers, which were probably millions. Back then 3D Studio was actually a big deal, really big deal. After 3D Studio 4, the software was rewritten for Windows NT platform and renamed to 3D Studio Max in 1996, and that was the first version of what we use nowadays. Even though it was not called 3ds Max, it was called 3D Studio Max. So 3D Studio Max actually invented the mass market of low cost 3D applications, especially as gamers started going 3D in the mid-90s. So after 3D Studio Max came to life in 1996, actually the cost dropped a little bit, and it was affordable, and it was actually it was easier to use it back then. The 3D market for game development was growing so fast, which created competition for Autodesk back then by Alias, that was trying to capture the mass market for games, visualization, product design, and architecture, and seemed to have good results in games, but not really in other areas because 3D Studio Max was so good at them. And by the way, Alias developed Maya, which is a property of Autodesk nowadays. Over the years, more and more features and tools were implemented and integrated in 3D Studio Max. So some of the features of the software, we're gonna actually talk about some of the features of the early versions of 3D Studio Max, and then we're gonna actually tell you about the rest of them. 3D Studio Max 1, developed 1996, codenamed Jaguar. It had better improved import and export functionality, new modeling possibilities, and new special effects. So this is a real breakthrough from the older versions that were operating on MS-DOS. So 3D Studio Max 2 actually was created in 1997, codenamed Athena. It had over 3 times more functions than the previous one, and it had a lot of plugins. And after that came 3D Studio Max 3, developed in 1999, codenamed Shiva. It had a faster and easier and customizable work environment, powerful organic modeling capabilities, and these just to name a few. Then came along Discrete 3ds Max 4, 2000. The year is 2000, codenamed Magma. So you can see that the naming convention is changing because Discrete actually was the department of developing softwares for Autodesk, so it was called Discrete 3ds Max. Then Discrete 3ds Max 5, 2002, codenamed Luna. Discrete 3ds Max 6, 2003, codenamed Granite. Discrete 3ds Max 7, 2004, codename Catalyst, Autodesk 3ds Max 8. So the naming convention is changing right now from Discrete to Autodesk 3ds Max 8, 2005, codename Vesper, Autodesk 3ds Max 9, 2006, codename Macalo. So this is the first software version of 3ds Max I used personally, which was 3ds Max 9, even though I actually tried before that, after that, and before it, maybe, I don't remember exactly, 3ds Max 5, and it was less attractive compared to 3ds Max 9. So 3ds Max 9, 2006, codename Maclo, Autodesk 3ds Max 2008. So they are changing the naming convention once again from actually numbers like 4, 5, 6, 7 until 8. They change it according to the year of release. So Autodesk 3ds Max 2008 were released in 2007. So actually the release date is actually a year before the naming convention of the version. So 2008, codename Gura. Autodesk 3ds Max 2009, released in 2008, codename Johnson. 3ds Max 2010, codename Renoir. 3ds Max 2011, codename Zelda. And 2012, it had actually two codenames, Excalibur and Rampage. 2013 version, codename SimCity. Autodesk 3ds Max 2014, codename Taken. And Autodesk 3ds Max 2015, released in 2014, codename Elwood. And 2016, codename Phoenix. 2017, codename Karen. 2018, released in 2017, codename Emoji. And 2019 version, which is the actual version that is released nowadays, which was released the last year, codename Neptune. And actually, with the latest version of 3ds Max 2018 and 2017, and so the 3ds Max is taking a leap when it comes to some of the systems that were something exclusive in other softwares like Houdini and Maya and stuff, like visual effects systems are getting developed lately. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share this video if you will, and probably watch some of our previous videos, and I will see you in the next one.